Frisco Bay Area. It's time for Zig in the Zone with Ralph Zig Tycho.
Hey, what a wonderful introduction. AI in action. Paulie, how did you do it?
Well, our world is being taken over by AI, so that's what's going on.
Okay.
And our entire
Well,
world is being taken over by AI. You know that, right?
yes, absolutely. And we've talked about this. Advantages and disadvantages as you see them to AI.
Yeah. Now, and they're talking about it. Some of the big players are losing big money. Nvidia lost about $680 billion or $1 million. Millions and billions don't are interchangeable at this point. You know,
Right.
it used to be big when you said millions. Now it's billions.
Speaking of that, Robert Cole is here to talk about the Mets a little bit, and it's billions of dollars in salary. Did you ever imagine, Robert Cole, that we would get to the point in society where we are paying athletes so much more than teachers and educators that it's outrageous. Teachers have to buy supplies, and we're paying athletes $30 million a year. It's nuts. I don't. Uh, Whatever your passion is, we shouldn't have to pay that much for it. And I don't begrudge the people that are earning it. I begrudge the greedy way in which the owners handle the money in the first place, because the fan is getting screwed every which way. Go to a ball game and spend $15 for a beer. Is that right?
No, I saw an article where it says that for a family of four to go to a game at Shea Stadium, it would cost $550. And
Right.
that same family of four to go to a game at Yankee Stadium, it would be $750.
Talking City Field, not Shea Stadium. Am I correct?
Or City Field, correct.
Yeah, okay. Either way, like, are the Mets a bargain, for crying out loud? It's nuts. Before I get started,
And I've always been a cheap guy. By the way, I've always been a cheap guy. Let me chime in a little bit. I've always been the cheap guy, so I've always loved getting bleacher seats for $5 or $10.
right?
That was me. That was the kind of guy I had to put on my A's stuff. But that's it. I've always been the cheap guy. Yeah, and even bringing beer back in the day. I remember bringing in little flasks or tubes full of alcohol because I would want to bring my own. It's like I'm the guy who would bring the sand to the beach. If it saved me money, if it saved me $1, I'd do it. And so, yeah, that's scary. No wonder, but it is our national pastime, and it has to go up just like everything else. Just like our blood pressure, our waistlines, and everything else. Of course, the price of, beer in Yankee Stadium's gonna go up, right?
Yeah, but the normal guy, okay, making a normal salary, okay, almost is priced out. Maybe you can go to one game a year, and you have to budget for that. Just like Disney World or Disneyland. Okay, you now have to take out a loan in
Yeah.
order to go with your wife and two kids.
I was actually at Disneyland about a month and a half ago, and it's funny now, you can't walk up to Disneyland, purchase a ticket, and go in. You actually
Really?
have to reserve online, and you have to show ID in the whole bit.
Wow.
Wow. I haven't been to Disney World for a while, but I don't know if they're doing it that way there. I assume they are.
They are. Everywhere
But,
in the Disney universe, you have to register. You can't just walk up, get a ticket, go in the park anymore.
wow.
And I'll tell you
Yeah.
right now, the guard dogs there love me because I always smell like cannabis, but don't carry it. So
Yeah.
they always come over and they're like, "Do you have anything on you?" And I'm like, "Not anymore.
Yeah. I smoked it.
I smoked
Yeah.
it before I got on Disneyland property."
I'm
In
not that.
me, but
Yeah.
not on.
Yeah, leave your
No.
weed at home.
Yeah. Hey, listen, I want to interrupt for a second. Paulie and I talk a lot about the idea of getting on the internet and we don't know what to expect negativity
Oh
wise.
my god. Biggest source of
listen.
anxiety. Right. Isn't it a big source of anxiety? I'm afraid to log on and see who's on social media, or in this case, who's
Oh,
no
and-
longer on
and then-
social media.
What's worse is that you forget and then you're surprised by something. Well, I was shocked this morning. Neighbors, friends, really loved ones, because the Simons, Jerry and Wendy, Jerry was a tutor of mine, the only tutor I ever had that was effective. And he taught me because I was a daydreamer and I wasn't getting knowledge because I was daydreaming. And Jerry said, make accumulating knowledge part of your daydream. Whoa, worked for me. I was able to learn. It was like turning it on and off. Well, Jerry and Wendy lost their son, passed away. 57 years old was the son.
Hmm.
Jerry's only a few years older than me. And it's indicative of how, to me, it's indicative of how time flies and how we're getting there. You know, we were talking off the air, Robert. We're basically the same age. And Paulie's right behind us. And
Yeah, I'm 58. I'm, a year older than your friend's son that just passed. So,
yes, a year.
right.
It's much too young. I don't know how he passed. Much too young, and always not the right time for parents to lose a son. I mean, incredible. I'm so sad. I was in Starbucks this morning playing with the machine, and I found out about it, and it's the tears come so easily nowadays. I'm sitting there drinking coffee and crying into my coffee for them.
Yeah.
May his memory be a blessing. And I wanted to give a shout out to because I don't have the words to make it any better, but I just want you to know that there are people that care. And that being that, next thing I want to get to is the gist of
I will add
the
this to
bread-
that. I will add
the-
this to that though, is that, hey man, if hug and love the ones that are here with you now. Every day.
absolutely in the moment.
Yeah.
Because you may be gone, or they may be gone, or tragically, most
You never know what's going to take you out. You never know
Yeah.
what's going to take you out in this world. With me, it's going to be something simple. Like everything that's ever really, every injury I've ever, well, in the last 10 years, all my injuries have been from really stupid things. Like I fractured a rib from coughing once. What else? I'm trying to
Well,
think.
that's
I
not
blew up
stupid.
my back bending over to pick up like a piece of paper from the ground. I ate a side salad at McDonald's and chipped a tooth. Uh, uh, it's funny. It's the little things. So you don't know it's going to take you out. So the ones that are near and dear to you now, let them know how much they mean to you now. Um, and I tell people all the time, go ahead. We should have celebrations of life for people while they're here, so they can enjoy it. I don't want
No
to hear about all
question.
the good things that I did after I'm gone, especially if there
Right.
is an afterlife. I don't want to be watching it on TV or on my device up in on a ninth, cloud nine, and
Well,
watching the survey going, wow, I didn't know that girl liked me. Oh, I didn't know I
well,
didn't piss that person off.
yeah,
And so
and well, you would
take the
have.
time now.
You would
Stop,
have.
smell the roses, or in this case, stop and smell the buds, and enjoy life.
Uh, Speaking of stuff like that, you know what makes me enjoy life sometimes? Did you ever leave the room, leave a conversation, or leave uh, an interview or whatever, and they don't know you're still in earshot? And I've gotten the expression, the gall of the man. And I've heard that, and they didn't know I heard it. And it was the last interaction I had, and it made me glow. And it was several times that this happened that I'm just playing off what you said. Like me or didn't like me, or I could piss them off. I find a way sometimes of eliciting that response,
and
and it's
it's a visceral
wonderful.
thing. It's like Tourette's. It flies out of their mouth, and that's the best part of it,
Right.
right? It's
So
uncontrollable. It's
it's
uncontrollable.
always
It's
pronounced the same way. The gall of the man, and I didn't kill their sister or anything. I just was being me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Right.
And it isn't a bad thing sometimes, but it isn't a good thing sometimes, or the reverse. It isn't a good thing, but sometimes it's a bad thing. Just the way I uh, naturally communicate, the gall of the man. Like, hey, what did I do? I just
You did your
mentioned an
job. You
opinion.
did your job as a human being, and people were able to respond to it. People ask me all the time, Paul, you must really, as a comedian, you really must be addicted to laughter or thrive on laughter. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what keeps my motor running. But the thing that I enjoy is I have the best seat in the house being the comedian. I get to look at all you guys out there in the audience, and I get to play you like an instrument. Not only do I get to make you laugh, I know how hard I'm going to make you laugh because I know what joke's coming up. And if you just laugh that hard at the last one, oh, wait till you see what I got coming for you. But
Right.
it's all those other ranges of emotions. I love to make people gasp. I actually try to make people spit take while I'm telling a joke. I will literally start delivering my setup to a joke and look across the room and see who's mid bite, who's mid sip. And I know where I'm going to deliver my punch. And that's what they do say about timing, if you got it and you have it or whatever. But I can deliver a punch. I pride myself on making people spit take. Involuntarily spit take, gasp, groan. I love to get a groan, because if I get a groan out of you and a gasp and then I make you laugh, you're not going to be able to catch your breath. You're going to be dying.
Right.
You're just going to be like, stop. I need to take a breath. Stop. And that's the addiction. That's why I got into comedy. I love to make others laugh, but I also love to make people feel that whole gambit of emotions that we go through.
Well, I hear what you're saying, and I hear the joy in your voice when's the next time you're getting up on stage? Because I know as a comedian, and I did comedy for years in the 80s, that your next time is looking forward to it is great. I lost.
I'll see you guys.
And I know Robert wants to chime in too. Robert, go ahead. It's,
No, it's but one of the things is, I read a lot of biographies of comedians, and a lot of comedians, their life is tragic,
oh yeah.
and that's one of the reasons why they got into comedy. I mean, because their own life is not a comedy.
That's definitely a
Right.
coping skill for a lot of us. I deal with depression, anxiety, OCD, PTSD. So I have a litany of neuroses up in my brain, and it is a way for me of coping. But it's really, for me, I think every comedian has a different reason why they've been thrown into this, and you're born into it. You literally, if you're an actual comedian, you're born into it. Once you've done it, you know it's in your blood, and you can't, no matter how good or bad you are, you could be an open micer for the rest of your life, but you could be in your heart and in your soul, a comedian. And so when you go through that, it's
People don't realize how cathartic it is for the comedian. When
it
Roots
is. It's
raw.
therapy. It's therapy for us. It really is. I mean, the reason I do it, to go back to the reason I do it is I always wanted attention. I was a middle child. I was a mama's boy, still am. And I was always trying to get the approval of people around me. I always wanted to make my mother, that maybe was going through things that are sad, happy. I knew I was always different, but don't we all, when we're growing up, we always feel so alone and so different, but we're always all the same. We really are. So those were a lot of ways that I dealt with those things. And today, it's funny, I'm still that teenager that's dealing with those things, yet I'm approaching 60.
Hey, you know how my mother would respond to my comedy when people were around and I was a kid?
Hmm.
Don't laugh. It only encourages him.
And so, yeah, some of my best things came out of conversational, right? They say comedy is situational, observational, or improvisational, right? And so one
Right.
observational thing I noticed is, again, coping skills. The way I make light of a moment. My wife would always, and she accuses me all the time, is everything got to be a joke? Yeah. Especially when you look at what we've got going on in this world. And it could be from politics to war to whatever. It makes things a little bit more palatable, makes things a little bit easier for me to deal with, digest, and move forward. And so, yeah, absolutely. One of the things, we got in a fight one time, and it was right before I was going on stage. Why do we always get in arguments right before I have to go on stage and be funny? Right? So one of the things would be, you're just going to go on stage, or you're just going to go write jokes about me and tell them on stage. Go ahead, just do it. And I told her, I don't write jokes about you. I don't write jokes about you. They seem to write themselves. And it's true. If I'm in San Francisco right now, I get younger comedians. I used to, a lot of the time. Now they think I'm a creeper. But I used to get a lot of younger comedians come to me and going, I'm having a problem writing. I'm having writer's block. I'm like, where do you live? Oh, San Francisco. Go outside. Just look. Just become a court reporter and start writing shit down. There's a blue sky. There's a guy pissing on a tree. There's whatever the deal is, just start writing it down. Oh, that's not good enough for you? Go on BART. Go on Muni.
Oh, you'll find stuff to write.
You will, before you know it, you'll literally have your own book. You'll be able to release a book of just, San Francisco oddities. Even just, I can do 5 minutes on parking in San Francisco.
Hey, Robert, let me ask you a question. what's the most interesting autobiography you read on a comedian, and tell me why.
There's most of them are sad. Lou Costello, okay, Jack Benny, Bob Hope.
Dangerfield. It's not easy being
Well,
me.
Rodney Dangerfield. They all had very troubled childhoods.
I wouldn't have thought that Jack Benny would have, but I learned something right there, and I'm going to look for some information about him.
Buddy Hackett, okay, is another one.
I loved Hackett so much. So the thing I loved about Hackett is he could tell a fucking story.
Oh,
If you guys got any of you younger folks that don't know who Buddy Hackett is and don't know even who Johnny Carson is, go look up like on YouTube Buddy Hackett stories on Johnny Carson. And he would just tell these stories that would make you
He told the joke on Carson that I saw on one of those reels where he got down and he was rolling around on the ground and making Ed and Johnny just laugh like hell.
Oh yeah.
He wasn't just a storyteller. He was a I can't think of the word, but he was a performing comic, and he had a stage presence, and there wasn't enough film on him, so I don't get to see much Buddy Hackett on Johnny Carson.
And it's funny because he would slip things by the censors that at that time were, it's like, oh, literally the censors wouldn't catch on to what he just did for like 10 seconds. It used to be because it was Richard Pryor.
Live, you have to remember.
It was Richard Pryor that actually instituted the 5-second delay on NBC, and it was like mid 70s, and it was when he was going on Saturday Night Live. That's when the actual like 5-second delay happened for censors to catch people. And I remember this is prior to that. This is still NBC, and he would slip things by that was like a curveball. It's like, how did that get by me? It was such in reach.
But Pryor is just the funniest comedian I've ever seen.
Right. And he would just it would just come out of him. It would come forth. And so even like Robin Williams, but with Hackett, it was more like, at least the ones I would see on Johnny Carson, it was in story form, and it made you think, and it wasn't in your face funny. It wasn't cerebral either. It wasn't, you had to be smart. You just had to absorb it. It was crazy.
Yeah. Speaking of tragedy, Jews have a reputation. The old comedians. We did have a tragic existence on a lot of levels post-war, and it was dealing.
I was going to say, Ralph, that so many of the comedians when we were growing up were Jewish. And you have to think that, growing up Jewish for a lot of, guys at that time was tragedy. It was hard to just live, to try to, blend in with everybody.
And if you didn't live in those times, your parents did. And your parents either grew up in the Depression or they escaped the war, one or the other. And it didn't make necessarily for anything that didn't breed humor was great. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So comedy has a lot to do with it. And no coincidence that you mentioned people. Jack Benny was Jewish, as a matter of fact.
Mm-hmm.
So So I'm going to ask you, Paulie, where's your next gig?
That's funny that you ask. So I have a weekly standing gig. It's a one-person show. That's right. It's for my therapist at 5 p.m. this evening. No tickets are left. It's a sold-out performance. Sorry. Usually a copay. Copay is what we ask. So no, that's a great question. My next paying gig is like March. I'm already booked in March, but yet don't have anything booked until then. So hey guys, I'm over here. Pick me.
Okay.
So I'm always looking for gigs, and I'm here at the studio. So I'm everywhere. I'm in the South Bay. I'm in the East Bay. I'm in the Valley. I'm anywhere. I believe I'm going to try to perform this weekend or this week at an open show in Manteca at Deaf Puppies Comedy Club. So I said,
and let's not forget, Paulie, you're performing right now.
I am.
On Zig in the Zone.
I'm in the zone.
And you know what's good about the way you and I both perform? There was a book written, you don't have to dress up to be yourself. And we make no pretense of who we are. And
you're right. You're right. Even like you were talking about maybe taking a vacation day here or there, on a Tuesday. And I said, no problem. I got you covered. We would only have to change one letter in the title of your podcast for me. It would be Pig in the Zone. And so I'll just sit here and eat barbecue and just talk to you all. And I'll be the pig in the zone. So there you go.
Well, you got to come out here on a Tuesday with nothing to do, Paulie.
Yeah, I like to sit back with you, eat a slice, and smoke one and relax right there on the water side.
Or smoke two.
Smoke two.
Or eat 2 slices and smoke 2.
Yeah, well, you smoke one, then you eat one, then you smoke one, then you eat one. It's a vicious flipping circle.
Isn't it wonderful though?
So what's your guilty pleasure, Mr. Cole? What is your guilty pleasure? What if you were to do something? How do you feed your soul? What's chicken soup for the soul for you? A slice of pizza? What is it?
Well, chicken soup is good. I don't know. That's a hard question for me to answer. My wife asked me, what's the best thing I cook? And that's a loaded question too. But I'd say I like everything.
So is there a favorite dish you like? I made some really great shepherd's pie about a week ago. It's a poor man's shepherd's pie. It's ground beef and all the fixings and mashed potatoes and all that stuff. Or I make a mean chili. I love chili.
Oh, both those are good, yes.
Paulie, I'll tell you what you have in common with Robert, and what Robert has in common with you is that you are both dog people.
Oh yeah.
And I think you get much of your pleasure from relating to your pups. Robert, tell me about your pup a little bit.
Oh yeah, well we've been having pugs recently. Okay, when my wife and I first met, she was into Great Danes, and we had Great Danes for a while. And now, as we're older, Great Danes are a big dog. We've gone the opposite direction, and pugs are our dog of choice right now.
They are interesting. Let's put it that way.
Yep. People look at them and they say, "Oh, what an ugly dog," or "What a beautiful dog." It's one or the other.
With my dog, it's so pretty. So my dog, they always go, "Oh, she's so adorable," and I go, "Yes, he is." They think he's like a little girl, and they always go, "Oh, he's a puppy. She's a puppy. He's a puppy. Oh, 2 years. No, he's 4 years old. He just still has puppy energy. He has big puppy energy." And so, yeah, you're right. That's my way to release some endorphins. If it's not on stage trying to make people laugh, it's petting my dog. It's walking my dog. It's having my dog chase the drone through the park.
That's one of the best ways of meeting people too.
Oh yeah.
And I just walk down the street with your dog.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean,
or
that
you
used
could
to
get a
be
big dog and avoid people too.
well,
Yeah,
and it's
if that,
funny.
that,
People have
that,
phobias with dogs, right? They totally do. I know multiple people that you can't get near them with a dog. When we were at Disneyland, I took the dog because didn't want to leave the dog home, and I'm outside the hotel walking them back and forth, which just this miffs me. If you have an animal and you're walking them in a little dog area where they're supposed to do their business, and there's all these little posts with the bags that you can pull out even if you didn't bring yours, why aren't you picking up after your dog? Anyway,
Mhm.
moving forward, because I don't
That's
know how
a-
many landmines I had to avoid. I felt like I was in the Vietnam War all over again. No, I wasn't in the war, but I mean, literally everywhere. So anyway, I had multiple people love to see the dog, want to pet the dog. And the only thing I tell, even especially with little kids, I go, yeah, he's really friendly, but you got to make sure the dog's friendly before he takes off your arm. And then, but my dog looks so friendly. Like I said, he looks like a little girl. He's blue heeler and pit bull, but he doesn't have the fat head like a pit bull. He has one like I guess more like the heeler. It looks more like a lab kind of snout, long, elongated, and so he looks really pretty, and he's gray and white, and always has his tail wagging, and so people want to go and pet him. But I've had multiple people just freak out, get him away from me.
Yep.
And it's like all he's
Well,
gonna
you
do
know
is
what?
lick you to
I had
death.
I had a red Doberman at one time. Her name was Cinnamon, and she was a wonderful lady. And she taught people that not to judge a book by their cover.
Right.
And that was satisfying to me to see her loved.
The parallels with our lives, Zig, the parallels with our lives. I know a lovely young woman named Cinnamon too, but she was a dancer.
Well, a dancer.
A dancer. She was an entertainer. I'm sorry, an entertainer. They call them entertainers here.
Hey, Robbo, let's talk a little Mets for a few minutes because we're running out of time. I love kibitzing with you guys. It's just, you got me through a very sad morning, and I'm appreciative. But are the Mets going to sign Alonso?
Gee, I didn't think you were going to ask that question, Zig. Of course you would. Every Mets fans ask that question. That's a good question. I'm afraid that Boris, his client, his agent, has missed the boat again this year, like he did last year with several of his players. He was so intent on getting Soto signed that he didn't pay attention to some of his other clients, and now they're stuck. You've got several. You've got Bregman, formerly of the Astros. You've got Pete Alonso. You have a couple of others that are out there that haven't signed yet. Just like last year you had Bellinger, and he had a couple of other pitchers that didn't get signed. They wound up signing what Boris calls a pillow contract, 1 year contract with a good amount of money, and it's good for both the player and the team. But Alonso's looking for more than that, and he missed the boat. He had a couple of chances to sign with the Mets. He thought he could get more. He and Boris missed the signs that things were not going to be good.
Where do you go from here if you're the Mets?
Well, the Mets have drawn a line in the sand, and they offered him 3 years, 65 to 70 million, which would be roughly 25 million a year with opt-outs after each year. Okay, I believe he's looking to get at least 6 figures. Okay, he's looking to get at least 100 million. I think that's his goal right now, and I don't know if anybody's going to give it to him. So
Okay. No, where would the Mets go?
well, the
Do
Mets
you
are
think
moving.
Bregman is the answer?
No.
I heard a rumor about Vlad Guerrero.
Well, Vlad Guerrero still has a year to go in Toronto, and I don't think they would have enough to give Toronto right now. Plus, they would want to have a guarantee from Guerrero that he would sign with the Mets, because the Yankees, you saw what happened with Soto and the Yankees last year. The Yankees sent several guys to San Diego, some good players, to get 1 year of Soto, and their bet was that they were going to sign him, and they didn't.
Okay. Do you think they will? Deep down, do you think a lot of this is just hyperbole and negotiation? Do you think they'll sign Alonso?
I do, yes, I do. And I think
Okay.
it'll be basically a 1 year contract. I think they may, maybe termed as a 2 year contract or a 3 year
With an
contract.
opt-out. Yeah, with an opt-out.
Right,
Mhm.
with opt-outs. And I don't know why he didn't take, the contract the Mets were offering. I think had they said, we'll give you $100 million, he would have taken it, in a drop of a hat. Right now, they just have to, meet in the middle. And
Okay. Have they improved their pitching overall to contend?
yes, but it's the whole thing. If everybody stays healthy, and
Well,
basically
yes,
every team in baseball can say that.
absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you, sir, for a great podcast. How we doing time-wise?
Wow, we're currently 38 minutes in.
That's all?
That's all.
Wow. Then let's go on from here.
Having fun, Zig.
Yeah, this is it went so fast that I thought we were longer. One of the disadvantages.
Can I ask you guys something, since we're on that subject of Alonso? What's the deal with, they are saying maybe Montcastle now is part of the trade? That's what that's
well,
what source out of, let me see here, Sports Illustrated said it an hour ago. The Mets have discussed both Spencer Torkelson and Ryan Mountcastle as trade options to fill their first base vacancy if Pete Alonso leaves.
Well, I think there's a lot of smoke being thrown by the Mets and by Boris on Alonso's behalf. So I don't know what's true and what's not true. I think if they don't sign Alonso, they would move Vientos to first base, which is a better position for Vientos. And they would hope that either Beatty or Mauricio or Acuna would fill the bill at third base. So they have in-house options.
Right.
And I think, as Zig said, with Guerrero, they are hopeful of signing him next year. So they don't want to sign anybody to a long-term contract because they're hoping that they can be the ones to get Guerrero next year.
Right.
So, if in Alonso's case, he was willing to take 1 year contract, and they would probably give him 30 or 35 million for that 1 year.
Mm.
Okay. The money's not the object, it's the length of time.
And you know what's interesting too is that the Dodgers gave so much long-term money to pitchers, and Stern of the Mets doesn't sign anybody for more than a year. It's a difference in philosophy. How do you think that's going to work out? Dodgers have I mean, if that goes sour, um, well, of course they're insured. Um, um,
They've signed so many. They've signed so many pitchers. I mean, they're like 7 or 8 deep as far as starters go right now. If you sit down and look at their roster, the Dodgers I'm talking about.
right.
You know, with Stearns doesn't want to sign anybody that's over 30 for a long-term contract. Okay, Soto is 26. Guerrero will be 26. Okay, he's willing to give long-term contracts to those guys, but Alonso is 31. Okay, Bregman is over 30, and he will not go long-term with anybody over 30. And I can understand that. You know, you sign a 30, 31-year-old guy for, say, like 7 years. Now they're 38, 39. So you're getting them at their peak for 3 or 4 years, but then for 3 years, you know, maybe they're a part-time player and you're still paying them that big money.
Exactly. A lot of people on Facebook say that because Alonso hasn't been signed, they criticize Stevie a lot. How could they criticize an owner who just paid Soto what they, um, even if you don't like the signing, you got to admire throwing billions of dollars out the window or out there, let's put it that way.
Well,
Should he
people
be
think-
getting heat?
people thinks he's such a rich guy, and he is, okay, that everybody should be signed, okay, and that's not the way you do it. And it's also a lot of the players, you know, don't want to sign in New York. Some players don't think they can handle New York, and they probably couldn't. You know, it takes a certain temperament and a certain guy to play in New York with all the criticism and stuff that you can get.
Good.
You know?
You just can't. But it's a decision. If you're throwing X billions of dollars out there, then you're spending the money. You hire baseball people to make those decisions,
Right.
and that's what Stern is about.
Right.
And he is being financed. Why complain? Well, if you're a sports fan at this point with the Mets after Wilpons, you can't complain about that.
Nope. I mean, I'm amazed that the Sacramento A's signed Severino for that big contract. Okay,
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
never expected that.
That's a situation very close to my heart. So I don't think the Vegas deal is cemented yet. I mean, shovels are not in the ground, and it may still never happen because the teachers union in Las Vegas is rightfully saying that these kids need education, not and they don't need a baseball team. So we'll see what happens there.
Well, they did blow up the casino to make room for it.
Already, you mean?
Yep.
Oh,
They
okay.
blew up the casino where they're going to, you know, put the stadium. So, you know, we'll see. I mean, so shovels may not be in the ground, but the dynamite was in the ground.
Okay, well, I'll say they're coming along further and faster than I thought they were. And, but I'd like to see them, Vegas fall through, and then Sacramento coming up big. Remember, they're a big city. And so they could at least stay out here in Northern California. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
I'm still bitter with the Giants and Dodgers moving and what it does to a kid. We were 10 and 11 years old, and we were definitely damaged by that. And I don't think it's fair of baseball. Should be some sort of eminent domain that you could raise a kid for 5 or 6 years. He becomes a fan, a fanatic, and then all of a sudden, like with us, they leave. And I think what baseball owes much more to the fan. And you talked a while ago about the experience. You could only go out once a year. Well, how is the kid going to build up memories to draw upon when they become adults, and something that's going to make them fans? Baseball is killing the golden goose, and they will suffer for it immeasurably. And the rules that they put in, runner on second base, etc. I mean, as bad as they are, no rule can bastardize the experience of a baseball game than that universal DH that can pinch hit anytime or whatever. That's crazy. I don't know how close they're coming to putting that in force.
Yeah, it's this commissioner wants to do a lot of things that just kind of make us shake our head. Now the younger fans, they've gotten used to, every year there's a couple of new rules, but it tears us up, us old timers, that's not baseball. But
it bastardizes the rule, the record book, so that we have no way of fairly comparing players to previous generations.
No.
Now, I say that you couldn't before, that the best you could do is compare a player to the players that he played against.
Correct.
And so Ty Cobb, how can you compare Ty Cobb and Barry Bonds? And by the way, I don't want to hear anymore how Barry Bonds was on steroids to do this, that, and the other thing. He was competing against pitchers that were also on steroids. And if anybody wants a real concise, and I'll post a link to it, I did an interview with Bobby Estrella, and he played in Bonds' era. And he said that 80% of the players at that time were partaking of extracurricular bullshit. Now, I contend that number really hasn't changed. They just have better ways of masking it than they did at that point. Or the baseball just doesn't care about coming out with, taking a guy like Ohtani as an example and saying that he just does drugs. And I'm not saying that he does, but I just used an example that would wreck things for baseball.
Well, look how quick they swept under the rug, that betting, the gambling thing last year. Okay, if it had been any other player, there would have been a lot bigger investigation.
No question about that. And to think that he gave all that autonomy to his translator who is absolutely ludicrous. Not that he's Japanese. That doesn't mean he's stupid.
No.
And it's it's amazing how, with all that money, you couldn't go to Berlitz and get your own and not need an interpreter at this point.
Well, a lot of these guys can speak good enough English, but they like the autonomy of listening to what the question is and having the interpreter tell it to him in his own language. He has a little bit more time to get together in his mind what he wants to say.
Very good point. Very good point. One of those things that's wrong with the way we live, with the changing times. You want to get to your opinion of what's going on with Trump, Robert? Take a few moments.
Oh, yeah, it takes more than a few moments, but yeah, I was torn up, when that happened. He, it was obvious several weeks before the election what was going to happen, because when all the heads of all the newspapers started telling their editors that they could not endorse Kamala Harris, okay, I knew what was going to happen. They already knew that Trump was going to win. And, just had to kind of brace yourself for that. Too many people didn't.
Are you as disappointed with mankind as I am with your fellow voters, your fellow countrymen? I am just so disappointed in those people. We're older. We could say, did you think that worth the price of eggs was important at 34 felonious cases, no matter how you thought what Biden did? And I'm no fan of Biden. I mean, how could you re-elect this guy? Does he not make you smell? It's horrible.
I didn't realize, how many stupid people there were in this country. I didn't realize how many bigoted people there were in this country. Okay, still, okay, they were, in the woods, hiding out. And I knew that there was a certain percentage, of Americans that were like that. I didn't think half the country was like that. And that's how it turned out.
And then to get a guy who pardons those January 6th people, and you see somebody with an Auschwitz sweatshirt online and he's out free, and you just know that these people are going to cause problems. These people and their children and their neighbors are, with no threat of retribution, are going to cause problems. We're fucked and feathered.
Well, one of the ones that he pardoned, I think it was 2 days ago, got stopped by I think it was out in California, if I'm not mistaken, by a trooper on a moving violation. Wound up pulling a gun and wound up getting shot and killed.
Oh, the guy did. He didn't kill a cop.
No, the guy didn't. The guy got shot and killed.
You hate to see anybody die, but you hate to see people live.
Yep. A lot of the ones that were, in jail, not in jail, but they got convicted and they were given fines, and they were given probation and stuff like that. That's different. They went there, to be part of a rally, and they got caught up in things. But there were, gang members there, okay, who committed the most crime, that there's no way they should have been let out. No way. And they were.
Well, I don't think, I think you're not giving them as much credit for the heinous, even the people that just went there to be in that. No, that was insurrection. You don't go into the Congress and put shit on the walls or condone those that do by not stopping them. That's I didn't even see it. Even back then, I thought, well, how could the guy get elected after that?
Well, he shouldn't have. And if Mitch McConnell had given the word, okay, on the second impeachment hearing, okay, he would have been impeached. But Mitch McConnell didn't. Mitch McConnell said a lot of nasty things about him and basically said that he was guilty. Okay, but Mitch McConnell didn't give the word to the other senators. Yes, let's vote to impeach him.
This isn't right. This is nuts. that type of thing.
One thing I'm hearing, even this morning, they were talking about how now he's going back and he's looking at all the January 6th, like lawyers and everybody was involved with that. And so I don't know if he's trying to get the DOJ involved and issuing something there, or he's also backpedaling because he released everybody like it as a blanket. Everyone.
Okay, yeah, but what he's going to have the DOJ do is not go after the people that committed it, the people that investigated it. That's who he's thinking about getting the DOJ.
That's what I mean. So he let off, what is it? How many people? 600 and something?
1,600.
1,600. Holy smokes.
Yes.
So he's letting go those, but he's starting to go after the lawyers that were doing their job.
Yes. That's exactly what he wants to do.
And he's already got the deck stacked in the DOJ.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, do you guys really, like I do, fear the loss of democracy like I do?
It's kind of like not having a father. I don't know what I had. I don't miss it because I never had it. And so I know we live in America, but politics has been so screwed. I'm 58. It's never right. It's never been right. And now it's just like we're trying to contain people. Wow.
Okay. Well, okay, we were, Zig and I, were from Truman. Okay, Truman was the president when Zig and I were brought into the world. Right. And it was after 4 terms of Roosevelt. Truman finished 1 term, and then he was elected on his own and could have run again, but didn't because he knew he couldn't beat Eisenhower. Eisenhower, nobody knew what Eisenhower was, that was he a Democrat or a Republican. Both parties wanted him to be their candidate in 1952. Okay, both parties did. Democrats, thought they could run him. Republicans thought they could run him. He ran as a Republican. Okay. We've gone all this time, where maybe you go 2 terms Republican, then we elected a Democrat. We'd go 1 or 2 terms Democrat, then we'd elect a Republican. And it was sort of balancing. Okay, we'd go one way, then we go another way. Right now, okay, Donald Trump is trying to tear up the Constitution. Okay, he's already has, senators talking amongst themselves about allowing him to run another term, run for another term in 4 years. Now that would have to be a change in the Constitution. Okay, but he's already working on that. That's where
he's got the Supreme Court behind him. That's what's scary.
Okay, he does and he doesn't. Okay, I believe the 2 oldest guys in the Supreme Court, whose names escape me right now, Clarence Thomas And the other one
Alito?
Toledo, okay, will side with Trump on everything. A couple of the younger ones, Coney Barrett and who was the guy that got the Supreme Court before Coney Barrett?
Yeah, the beer guy, the guy that likes beer.
Right, and I like beer too.
That's the only reason I remember him. He likes beer.
They don't always side with Trump, okay? And Roberts doesn't always side with Trump. And I think a couple of those younger ones, they say to themselves, you know, if we give him too much power, we're going to be out. Okay, just like Netanyahu in Israel, he was trying to dull what the Supreme Court could do in Israel. Okay, when this war broke out, you know, they were going to put Netanyahu on trial, if you remember. Okay, and then that war broke out.
Well, you could say he didn't cause it, though. Remember, Israel was attacked.
No, he didn't cause it. Okay, but he was probably happy to have it because it took the heat off of him. And all thoughts went on, you know, which it should have.
It's amazing how many similarities there are between Nate, Benji, and Trump.
Yes, and they like each other.
Yeah, that's scary.
Yes, it's very scary.
They're a couple of yahoos. A little net joke there.
Yeah.
Yes.
But you know, that's scary. And then you have you know, his buddy Elon Musk, you know, will become the first trillionaire in history. And he's like a piggy bank for Trump. And
He literally bought himself into the administration. He bought himself influence.
Well,
wait until it comes out that those two people, the electronic genius that it takes to get Musk the way he is in terms of ability, that they fix that election. I can't imagine him winning all the key states, the plurality of the majority. Unlike you, Robert, I was shocked by it. I
was shocked, but I wasn't surprised. Okay.
Well, I was not. I was surprised.
Yeah. No, I saw all the signs. I kind of knew that it was going to happen. You know, the last month or so. Okay, when it started, I really truly believed that Harris could beat him. Okay, I thought Biden could beat him again, even though he had that disastrous debate. Okay, I thought Biden could beat him again, but it just wasn't the time for a female, and a black female at that, to be the president of the United States.
Well, like I say, I'm disappointed in people who think, well, a black person or this and we had Obama. Not that there weren't a lot of things wrong with what was going on in Obama's administrations, but he was given no chance to appoint a Supreme Court justice.
Right.
Which absolute crime.
Well, the crime too was that Obama thought that Hillary was going to win. If he didn't think Hillary was going to win, he would have fought like hell to get that justice, you know, the right to do that justice. But he thought for sure Hillary was going to win. Okay, after Trump became the candidate, so did everybody. Nobody expected Trump to win.
Well, how about Bernie? How about Bernie being screwed out of the primary by Wasserman Schultz and all that stuff. That was fun. And he would have stood up to him, and those debates would have Bernie to Trump. This wouldn't be an issue at this point.
Unfortunately, I disagree with you, Ralph. If Bernie would have gotten destroyed, okay? They had him painted as a communist, okay? This country would not have voted for Bernie, okay? The ultra progressives would have voted.
Well, a socialist is not a communist, and all they would have had to do was come out with a glossary. How about that?
People, they had Biden painted, too far left. Okay? People that are now going to be deported, who have been here and had the right to vote, voted for Trump. Okay? Their own people are the ones that are going to get deported.
So you deport people who work in the food industry and getting phones and shit like that, and then you expect the prices of eggs to go down.
Do you think Trump is any kind of credibility to that? Okay, he says he would say anything, and he did to get elected. Okay, if he was talking to black people, he would say what they wanted to hear. If he was talking to Spanish-speaking people, he told them what they wanted to hear. If he was talking to, Venezuelans or Cubans, he told them what they wanted to hear. Okay, all he wanted to do is get elected, and he did. And now, screw everybody. Eggs, I don't care how expensive eggs get. Milk, he doesn't care how expensive milk gets. Okay, who did he put in his cabinet? Okay, all billionaire. Okay, you think they give a ass how much you're going to pay for eggs tomorrow, Ralph?
Yeah, they could give a shit because they'll take the premium eggs off the top and pay extra because they have all the disposable income that they need. It's a question of greed. It's something that's inherent in, and I wouldn't say this generation only. It's a horrible situation. Paulie, we've got to be getting close now.
Yes, we are. We are at that point now.
All right. Thank you, Robert. Keep coming back. We enjoyed it.
Maybe one time I'll actually talk about the Mets in baseball.
It seems unimportant at this moment. Let's put it that way.
Yeah,
but we may talk about it.
But it is important.
And it is always important. And you were a contributor, and you taught me a lot of what's going through their heads. You've got the negotiation between them down pat. So please keep coming back and give us updates from time to time.
All you have to do is call me on the phone like you did yesterday, and I'd be more than happy to come if I'm able.
Thank you for being here.
Okay. Feel better, Paulie.
Thank you very much, Robert. Good to see you.
Don't see your face again. What's happening?
Yeah, it's good to see your smiling face, both of you guys, and I appreciate you guys for being here and wishing me well. And I feel like I'm still in self quarantine, but for myself, Robert, and the Zigman, we're out of here. We'll catch you guys next week. Make sure to check everything we do here at Ed Studios, edstudiosonline.com. If you have any questions, send us an email at edstudios@gmail.com, or check me out at Paul Brumbaugh on all social media. Thanks again, guys. Really good to see you, and we're out of here.
All right, Jerry and Wendy, sorry. Thinking about you and Will for a long time.
There you go. All right, guys, we're out. Until next week, keep doing what you're doing.
Adios, folks.